Bullshit.
It's the No Bullshit Marketing Show. I'm Dave Mastovich, CEO and founder of Massolutions. I'm excited to be back on the road doing keynotes and workshops for leaders interested in improving their communication, their leadership, and their storytelling. I wanted to talk about that today because I think that you, as a leader, a marketing executive, a storytelling professional, can benefit from what I saw, how they responded, and what I learned from doing a number of workshops recently. When the topic of the Great Resignation or these talent wars came up, it was interesting to see that the light bulbs went off as I broke down how we as humans process stories and how we look at companies, and how in today's world, the MVP, your mission, your vision, your purpose, your core values, your culture means so much to who works for you and who performs for you, and how significant what we call B2E, business to employee storytelling, is for healthcare organizations, professional services firms, and pretty much any company out there when it comes to recruitment, retention, and results. I'll talk about all three of those 3 R's of B2E, business to employee storytelling, and what those audiences did and said when I did the workshops, and how it can help you. First, we broke down the statistics of how employees aren't as trusting of their boss and the company as they used to be. A number of compelling statistics to support this. We broke down how employees interact with each other and feel that productivity suffers because of the lack of effective storytelling and communication up, down, and across the organization. That's that 3rd R, results or productivity. And we talked about some interesting trends. There used to be a reality slump, if you will, where people would begin to look around a year, year and a half, 2 years. But post-pandemic, we're seeing that being 9 months, a year, 18 months, where people are beginning to have reality set in and say that this isn't what I thought it was. And I talked about how this is tied back to inaccurate onboarding. It's a big piece of it, is inaccurate onboarding. What is that? It's when either the story isn't told enough about the culture and the MVP, mission, vision, and purpose during the onboarding, because there's too much technical stuff in the onboarding, or get right in and hit the ground running. Another part of inaccurate onboarding is when the culture that's described and the values, the core values that's described, isn't accurate. There's some hyperbole sometimes, inaccurate storytelling, but other times it's that leadership doesn't understand that the culture that they're trying to convey isn't what has actually been instilled. The core values that they're talking about aren't being lived as much as they think. So that inaccurate onboarding leads to that reality slump, which is now earlier than it used to be. It can be as early as 9 months, 12 months, 18 months, where employees are starting to look because they don't feel that the decision they made matches up with why they made that decision. Inaccurate onboarding. This leads and impacts both recruiting and retention, because if you spent all that time recruiting and you were telling a story about the mission, the vision, and the purpose that didn't match up, the core values weren't what they thought, or you weren't telling enough of a story, either way, you had someone come aboard expecting something else, and that inaccurate onboarding led them to be frustrated and start to look in this environment when they know they can. Employees know that this is one of the rarest times where they can get jobs again and again if they want to. So inaccurate onboarding can be a problem with both recruiting and retention. Your storytelling has to be accurate. And you have to find out if it's accurate by going out and talking to people and even having a third party talk to people in some instances to find out what they're perceiving that culture is, what they believe those core values are. What have they been told? What is their baseline of knowledge about what you've been trying to convey, or maybe you haven't conveyed enough? That all ties back to business to employee storytelling and ties back to recruiting, retention, and results. The results part is if you aren't focusing on explaining what each department is doing and the why behind what's happening, and your overall why and your customer's why, their reason for buying, your why or reason for being and your customer's why or reason for buying. If that's not being communicated again and again through anecdotes and analogies, through the science of storytelling, if that's not happening again and again and again, your results, your productivity suffers. And I showed the statistics behind that as well. And that's why the second slump has now come. And this is the slump that's happening around the 10-year mark, where people are saying, this is it? This is all it's going to be? This is really what I'm going to do? And so you're now seeing an exodus of people at that 10, 11, 12-year mark that you thought you could count on. Again, because they aren't hearing the stories about the culture, or the stories don't match up. What I saw in the workshops and what it taught me was marketing executives, storytelling professionals, chief executives, entrepreneurs, leaders coming to grips with this, but pointing out different ways that they have been trying to tackle it, and how this all ties together in that you need a cohesive, strategic plan that treats the marketing and storytelling to your current and prospective employees in the same way that you treat marketing to current and prospective customers. That's the differentiator when you become a true B2E storytelling organization, and that business to employee storytelling is systematic and follows a plan. And yes, you test, track, and tweak certain things because not everything is going to work. Not everything works in trying to reach your current and prospective customers either. But if you have a systematic plan for recruiting, retention, and results, the storytelling around that, and if you test, track, and tweak and work to improve and build upon that, you can make a difference. So what I learned was that the leaders that I was talking to, the marketing executives that I was talking to, the storytelling professionals, these are people in healthcare, professional services, and beyond. It really impacts any industry. They were seeing how they know they have to commit to this business to employee storytelling. They understood how it could impact their recruiting and their retention, their results, and the light bulbs went off about inaccurate onboarding. They were nodding when they heard about that reality slump, losing people earlier around that 9-month to 18-month mark. They were sharing in each other's pain about the second slump at that 10-year mark that's happening more and more today than ever before. And I was excited because I saw a commitment to change, a commitment to bringing accuracy to the onboarding, a commitment to having cultural storytelling that was accurate, truthful, and meaningful, a desire to have anecdotes and analogies that would resonate with current and prospective customers. It was great for me to see, and I felt excited about the change that was happening right in front of me and with me. I'm asking you today to commit to B2E storytelling. If you are ready to commit and you're not exactly sure what to do, reach out to me. Email me, dave@massolutions.biz, or call Massolutions. I'd be happy to hop on a call, meet in person, talk about it, because it can make a difference for you. Thanks for listening to another episode of the No Bullshit Marketing Show, recorded here in our studio in bold, beautiful downtown Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Remember, ask yourself, what's the big idea? And build your story around the answer. It's all about bold solutions, no BS.